live from in Long Island, New York. Hey, how are you doing, Agnes? Welcome to Love, Death, and Taxes, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I don't. Uh, uh, it's Father's Day weekend. There's a bunch of things that are probably going to be happening. I'm hoping that you are able to celebrate, and if not, I see people saying blue hearts for dads who have passed away or are, for whatever reason, absent. Um, that would be great. Hold on, just double checking. Facebook is doing a very interesting thing where um, they want to double check who is going live stream to their pages before they do, and so we're having a little bit of issues. Okay, we're good.
Okay.
Uh, I mean, we're not in on Facebook, but we're in LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, and I'll put a link later on to both places so that people can
hmm
check it out. It is, of course, this happens on the Father's Day episode. I gotta tell you, Agnes, I feel like often as a father we get a very different day than Mother's Day, right?
Well, just a little bit, but it's well celebrated. You cannot complain.
Oh, see, that's the thing. We're not allowed to complain. That's the other thing. Dads aren't allowed to complain. Dads have to shut up. Just
Well,
take it.
that's the role of a man, no? The
See,
fixer, the
see,
fixer.
who says that is the rule? Who says we have to have? But I understand. I do understand. For the most part, we've been told that we are not supposed to be upset about this kind of thing or worry about it. I saw a great comedy stand up the other day. I think his name is Sadiq Al Sadiq, and he was saying, yeah, um, there are a number of holidays that we pay attention to, and number one is probably Christmas. And then in the United States, he was keep on going down and hit like number 16 or 17, and that was Arbor Day. And right underneath Arbor Day, which is a day for trees, was Father's Day. It is not a very popular holiday at all.
It's very appropriate because the men are strong like the trees.
Oh,
So that's why.
that's why you bury us right under the trees. Okay, great. So, ladies and gents, this is Love, Death, and Taxes. We'll be right back talking about and celebrating fathers today for the Father's Day weekend. We'll be right back. All right. So, I fathers and relationships. I'm really into hanging out with my kids and talking to my kids and trying to, I guess, impart the wisdom that I did not have. But kids never listen. They don't want to hear anything you're saying. That's the truth, right? Um, you hit a certain age and you realize, had I been told to do this, my life would be different, definitely easier. Um, Maybe some of the things that I was told as a younger person or espoused as a younger person were not always completely true, but there was a certain moral to them which made sense. But now I'm realizing there was a lot that I could have focused on instead. And so I'm trying to explain those things to the kids. Like, this is the time. You have time. And so you can do all these different things with the stuff that you have. And I feel like that is the role of dads, right? To try to impart as much knowledge about the world and the way it is to their kids as possible. What do you think?
Yes, that's big part of fatherhood to share the wisdom. And although right now you see that maybe there is lack of interest just because of their young age,
Mm.
they will remember later on.
No.
Couple decades from now, it's going to be, oh, my dad told me this and my dad told me that. And you might see the difference from you were told just because everyone is different. This is not a cookie cutter
Yeah.
situation. Every one of us is different. Every one of us have different life, different family. Um, but that sharing wisdom, it's very important, and they will remember. Your grandchildren will even remember even more. That's a part of the being a father, becoming a grandfather later, and teaching your grandchildren all that wisdom. And don't expect your children to learn from your mistakes. Everyone is learning from their own mistakes, not somebody else's.
Right.
But later in life, they will definitely listen. They will remember. They will remember the words of wisdom that you shared with them. And yes, mothers and fathers prepare their sons. Well, you have a son, you have a daughter. Don't you see that there is a difference in the way you're raising them? There is different ways that you're trying to, the different wisdom install in your son and different in your daughter, just because we all have different roles in life, right? Men usually are the pillar of our families, the strong ones, the ones that they can handle everything, the ones that they can fix everything, and they have answers for everything, right? So
Yes, yes, exactly.
they're providers, they're pillars of our family.
Well, I gotta say, this is what we have been told, right? This is what
Yeah,
we are taught. The truth is, in many homes and many roles across the United States now, and around the world, there are men who stay home, take care of the children, and wives who have gone out and are working. Now, does everybody like that? Does everybody think that that's the way it should work? And honestly, our society, especially with social media, doesn't seem to be kind to the men or the women who do that. Like everybody's up in your business, and I see there's a lot of talk about trad wives. Have you seen that? On there's a whole thing about traditional wives. That's what they call the trad wife. And so there's this whole TikTok trend, shorts trend, whatever. Where people are saying, as a trad wife, I do this, I do that. I stay at home, I take care of the kids, blah, 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 blah. My man goes out, he does that. If he tells me to do so and so, I do it. And I'm just like, I don't know if everybody is going to, yeah, see your face, see your face.
but
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
you
So
have no idea how many couples or how many brides ask
mhm.
me to drop the obey word from
Yes,
the wedding vows. It's
yeah,
different. It's different makeup of a family nowadays.
yes.
It's really different. And you know what really works for the family?
Mm,
What benefits that family? So if the wife has a better paying job or the mother has a better paying job, why shouldn't she go and bring so-called the bacon home and
okay.
stay home and take care of children and do the unconventional thing? But I mean,
Okay.
now and nowadays, like if that's what benefits the family, then why not? Will that make sense that the mom would have leave, or one of the partners would have leave a high paying job and stay home because she's a female, and then the male goes and get half of her salary and bring it home just because that's the way it's supposed to be? That's
I'm just saying, flip it the other way. The man is not making as much, and this is America now because a lot of men have fallen behind in education, and sometimes the jobs that they do are just not as high paying, and women will find themselves in the case that sometimes they will be making a more or a lot more, sometimes a whole lot more than their their husband or their
yeah,
mate. And if you need to pay a person to be home with the children or to take them around or nanny them around, and that person literally costs more than if the dad was just at home doing it. Why shouldn't you're right? Why shouldn't he go home and do it? But I'm going to give it's a cautionary tale. Um, there are a lot of people who receive that kind of power and decide that they are going to behave just like those traditional, like 1960s men used to behave. You know what I mean? Like not
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
not do the nurturing things that mothers are usually, is usually expected. Not to say that man can't do it, because that I mean, you could just decide, okay, so my mother used to behave like this, let me just behave in that way with the kids and whatever. And so I'm sure it is possible. I'm just saying that it might be difficult. And we're we were talking about this the other day, how your family sometimes just gets in your business because they can't understand. They're over here like, what? He's at home while you're at work doing what? They don't. They don't. They're not going to get that.
You
Yeah, I
know,
know you're making your face, but the truth is, the pressure from friends, from family, from society in general puts a lot of people off, and then they do things that cut off their nose to spite their face.
well, if they do that, they're not mature enough to have family. I'm sorry, this is just my opinion. Maybe harsh, but that's my opinion. Whenever there are other family members are involved, okay, we're talking the most loving family, okay,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
not the people that they like to poke around all the
Right.
time, but we're talking the most loving family. Okay, two people get together, they're starting family, and there will be bunch of people around them giving those uh, good advices.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quoting a lot today.
Yes.
Those good, with good meaning, or wishing well and whatever, those advices. And if you want to listen to everybody instead doing what's right for your family, then like, I mean, like, come on, do you know what you want in life? Because
I love that.
if you want to listen to everybody, you're gonna have in-laws on both sides. You're gonna have those aunties and uncles and friends and nephews, and oh,
Right.
you should do this, you should do that. So you're gonna be like a tree in a wind, going
Oh,
all different ways, depending
there,
how the wind blows. You
there's a
do what works for your
this works for
family.
you.
That's
There's
it.
I believe there's an Aesop's fable, and it's like a man and his son are taking a donkey to market, and the two of them are walking alongside the
Mhm.
donkey, and then the people say, they pass a group of people, and they're like, "What's wrong with you? The two of you are walking. Why don't you one of you ride on top of the donkey?" So then the son gets on top of the donkey, and then they pass another group of people, and they're like, "Oh, what a lazy son! You should let your father ride the donkey." So the dad gets up on, and the son is walking, and then the other person said, "Oh my gosh, you're a dad? What's going on? Why is yours? Why are you up on the donkey?" And then comes to another group of people and like, "How dare you? Aren't you carrying that donkey to the market? You should like tie it up and put it on a stick, and both of you carry it so it doesn't." And they carry the donkey like this, tie it up, put it on
Mhm.
a pole, and they get to a bridge, and the donkey struggles because he's like, "Why am I upside down?" He falls into the river. They lose the donkey. Nobody has the donkey. This is an old Aesop's fable, if I
Yes,
remember correctly.
yes,
But it means you're paying attention to what everybody else is saying and doing what they're asking you to do, as opposed to doing what is working for you. Two of them could have just walked the donkey to the market and it would have been over and done with. They were fine with that before, but they started listening to everybody else, right? But
exactly.
I know exactly what you're saying. But yeah, let's talk about father. Let's go back to father. So that there are a lot of traditional roles that dads take, but you're right. That the roles of dads have changed a lot recently. I will say there are still certain things that like I think are just dad stuff. Like something goes wrong with the kids. You're the guy who shows up like every time something goes wrong, like outside of the home. You know what I mean? Oh, that teacher called for you or whatever. I'm going. Can I go? I need to be there. I need to look him in the eye because I need to know what is actually happening. Or sometimes things happen amongst or between children, and sometimes you got to go check and see what's going on there as well. I feel like those are things that dads definitely do. I am not there yet, but I am looking forward to the grandfather role, which is a completely other thing. Um, I understand you get to treat those kids a whole different way because you can spoil them because they're not living with you. But yeah, I think that's fascinating. I've always thought, since I was a kid, and this is going to be weird because now we know something different about this person, but I am going to say it anyway. I used to watch the Bill Cosby show and think that is the dad that I want to be. And I think the guy who was on TV can be separated from who he was in actual real life, right? And you'd
The
be able to
character
say,
he played. The
yeah,
character he
the
played.
character he played. That's the thing. He called himself Bill and his name was Cosby
Hmm.
in the show too. So, but uh, I always thought that's the kind of dad that I would want to be. Cool, easygoing, but Socratic, like give them a question. When they ask me a question, ask back the question because I'm not going to be here to argue with you, or fight with you, or take. But I do want to reason with you, like you're an adult, like you actually matter, and point out to you. I remember this conversation he had with his son at the time, Theo. Like he went to his room and like said, and every time I saw that, I was just like, "That's the greatest. That's the greatest dad ever." And now we think a whole other thing about Bill Cosby. But I thought that would be exactly the way to be. And he seemed like he was never really working, but he worked out of the house, right? He worked out of the house and had his practice, I think, downstairs. So his patients would actually come to him at the house. So then he'd just go downstairs and work. So I was like, this is fantastic. This is exactly
Yeah.
who I'd like to be. So there was that. And it's just the way he was with his children, but then also the way he was with his wife. And he did give her a certain amount of well, I don't think he gave her anything. Claire Huxtable was like, um, "You're doing what now?" But she only stepped in when she needed to because he was so good at just having a conversation with them and putting them in their place. And then there was a great thing between him and his soon to be uh, uh, sons-in-law, right?
Hmm.
So any one of his sons-in-law, like that relationship was always very interesting to me. Like he's protecting his daughter because he's asking him questions, but he's not being rude to them either. He's like, what's going on with Elvin? He doesn't seem to have a job right now. What's going on? I think that was fascinating. So that really was where I saw that.
There is definitely different relationship between fathers and sons and fathers and daughters.
Yes.
One of the comedians said that when his son was born, he said that he felt like he will give him his life, to
Right.
protect him. When his daughter was born, he thought, I will kill for her.
Yes, that's very
You know,
different. I
different
think I've heard
emotions,
that.
different emotions, but very true, but very true. So but not to get into the details, like the difference between motherhood and fatherhood, but like as father's role, definitely teaching children, it is very wonderful, spending time with them, it's a must. Teaching them, and sometimes it's really depending of the couple, when a couple raises kids, how the dynamics between them and their personalities, one of them it's going to be that yes parent, another will be no parent, like
I think
it
so.
doesn't mean there has to be a father or a mother, you know what I mean?
I would hope that the both of you look at one another, work it out, and then say yes or no together. That's what I was always hoping, that there would be like collaboration. I'm doing a lot of, and I guess we just do this now. I mean, we used to do it before, but now, like, it's really important that we do it with structure. But co-parenting is something we do a lot right now, and it's very structured. It works out well for us because the most important thing that we have between us is the children. So that co-parenting happens a lot. I am literally physically in a place right now where I'm doing co-parenting. As soon as this is over, I already cooked dinner. See, stuff like that. So, for example, there are a lot of guys who would be like, "What are you talking about? Your dad cooked dinner? What?" But I love to cook. I don't see any problem with that. In fact, many years ago, all the chefs, all the the guys who were on ships or wherever now, they were the cooks. They were men. So
Yeah.
I don't really have a problem with that. In fact, my kids are like, "Oh, Dad, this arroz con gandules with coconut sauce was absolutely amazing, Dad. Thank you so much." They both were telling me how flavorful it was. So you end up sometimes taking on roles in today's modern day that don't necessarily, fit into what everybody thought you should do. As long as you guys are doing things together, right? And you're making sure that there's no imbalance. There's not, oh, this person is doing more than that and this person more than
It's a different model of a family now. This is not from 1950s. Mom and dad, mom stays home, dad goes out, and it doesn't matter how unhappy one or the other is, you staying together for the children, or just you staying together because divorce it's not an option,
that.
and things like that. Nowadays it's different model of the family. There
Yeah,
are single parents, there's co-parenting, there are single fathers, there are single mothers, there are
right.
two dads, there are two moms,
Mhm.
there's different model. It can be, that's traditional thing. If it works for you, I'm
It
happy
works.
for you, please do
Right.
that. What makes you happy? But you cannot do that. Oh, that's what's supposed to be done. Really? Do you want to be in a marriage that really you're going to sit and cry every single night just because this is the traditional one? This is the traditional model. Are you going to say goodbye to a career where you can bring six-figure salary home, and meanwhile your partner who has to go and work barely makes ends meet? So
Right.
it's,
Right.
you
So
do what works for you. And
yeah.
today's modern world, there's so many different things. I know of a young father that, guess what, the child was a few months old and the mother left and left the child to the father, and he did amazing job raising her, and he's part of my family now, and I'm proud of him.
Yes.
There are families where sometimes people break up, divorces. We Now this is nothing new, you know and
No.
majority of times kids think of the mother, but a lot of times the
Yeah.
father takes them, and
Yeah.
they have four parents instead of two.
Yeah.
So, and there's two dads, and you know what, I truly believe that stepfathers should be celebrated as well as fathers. They are, because they have big role in a lot of families. They have big role, they're pitching in as well, and they raise children. There's a lot of beautiful things to celebrate on the Father's Day, a lot of beautiful people, and there's a lot of titles that they being missed. and
Yeah.
and each and every person, especially in today's world, they have it, it's difficult. It's difficult to stand up to the task. But as long you're showing up every day, as long you keep trying every day, that's the most important,
I
because
think
it's
that
always
is
a question mark, what the child will take, what will absorb, how it's going to happen. But the only thing we can do is just try to do our best and show up every day and hope for the best.
Yeah, yeah. I used to work with a guy who I thought, look from the outside looking in, I was like, this guy's a great dad. It was clear to me that he was also living through his kids. Like he was always in their baseball, and but he was also a scout master. Like he took them camping all the time, and he did baseball with them. Like helped to do the little league. If they needed anything, we'd be at work. He'd get a call, and he'd like, "I gotta go. My son is so and so and so," and just go out the door. And it was so funny that he said that to me. One day he said to me, "Oh, you know what? The only thing that a father really has to do is provide, make money for the family." And that made me so upset. I don't know why. It made me like I swung around at him and say, "You do so much more for your kids. Why would you think that all you are is a bank? That's not all you are. You do this and this and this and this and this." And he was taken aback because I guess he didn't realize that I had such strong feelings about how good I thought he was doing, or I guess people don't see it. And he was just like, "Nah, you just have to give them money." I was like, "You do so much more than that. Why would you say that?" And I think that that is not the quintessential thing anymore for father. Yes, it used to be that, oh, you have to provide first. That's number one. Um, and then you do whatever else. You come in, you get the big piece of chicken, or you come in and you get a Rob Roy, and then you drink that because you come in every evening, you get your little alcohol. But I think um, what's more important is to be present and be around the children. And I do like that there is a trend now, even though people are divorcing at a higher rate, that fathers are staying around at a higher rate because we're all figuring out that, yeah, still to some extent you need to be doing this co-parenting thing, because you got to keep your sons away from the guns and your daughters off the pole. Yeah, that's how I look at it. You're like, oh,
Okay.
okay, ladies and gentlemen, you can send your complaints. You can send all your complaints right here to mailbag at lovedeathaxis.com.
Well, staying around is a responsible thing to do. The kids that they're being brought into this world, they
Absolutely.
didn't ask to be brought to this
No,
world.
they did
So
not.
there's a simple thing as a responsibility. As
Hmm.
a grown up, you have children, you have to be there for them. No
Yes,
matter
that's right.
what, they can be 50 years old, you're going to be 75. You have to be there still, ready to catch them when they're falling. Hopefully, you give them, like as I always keep repeating, I raised you, show you how to live, I give you education. I think I give you good balance, but life is life. And we know that we are sometimes trip and good to would have been nice to have someone to catch you, right? And instead, before you hit the ground. So
Yeah.
I believe that parents' job should be one of the tasks that the parents are here for. But you have a lot more ahead of you than I'm right now. I'm in a stage of enjoying my grandchildren, looking at my child flourishing and
Yes.
his family, which is great. um Unfortunately, myself, I was not raised around the father, so I know the role of a father more from movies and talks. My mother had to be mother and a father together, you know. Unfortunately, my son's father wasn't, you know, he was sick, so that was not possible. He was not there. But yeah, there are different families, there are different situations in life, and looking at people, especially from broken homes, you might say, stepping into a stepfather role and being a full father figure for those children, that's an amazing thing. That I think it's just amazing thing. And what's even more amazing is when I see parents and their new spouses getting together and actually act civilized for the good of the children.
Yeah,
That's
that's
very
it.
responsible thing to do.
And I gotta tell you, it's not easy. It's not an easy thing. And you said broken family. I believe the word now is blended. So please send your emails to their mailbag at Love, Death, and Taxes to complain about Agnes calling. For once, they'll come for you instead of me. But yeah, um,
Oh
I
my
have to
God.
tell you, I might know in my circle of friends, I might have one, two, three, four stepdads. Like they met their wives and or significant others with a child that they had before, like a smaller child, and have raised that child. And in many cases, they are out of the home already, and they're still raising the other children that they had with the mother. And yeah, it's not it's never easy, and sometimes it can be thankless. But I think there is a at least amongst these guys that I know, there is a certain amount of nobility that requires them to do their best and to treat those children with as much respect as possible. I think that's a great thing. Like you, Agnes, I did not have my father growing up. My parents divorced when I was around four, around that time. So after that, I rarely saw him. In fact, my understanding is, yeah, he was in a different country at the time. I only saw him when I was, much older. Um, but there were other people who showed up. When I went to uh, church, I found like male role models. My doctor went to my church and he introduced me to ministers who were there. He introduced me to other men who were, yes, they were a part of the local chapter of what do we call that now? The Masons, the Freemasons. Let's see. Yes, but they were all very upstanding men in the community and would, hey, Mister Williams, how are you doing, Master? In Jamaica, refer to you sometimes as Master. When you're young and they think you're going to be moving on to big things. Master Williams, how are you doing today, sir? And so, yeah, okay. Or we would go and sit and like have conversations about religion or society or whatever. So I did kind of see what was supposed to be. But then also, yeah, you're right. TV, movies, Bill Cosby.
Not Bill Cosby, the character he played.
The character Bill Cosby played. But I think it was William H. Huxtable III. Oh, so he wouldn't be, yeah, it was Huxtable. Yes.
Yeah,
Bill, yeah,
yeah,
Huxtable.
yeah, yeah.
Dr. Huxtable. All right. So, yeah, ladies and gents, thank you so very much if you tuned in today. I hope you have a wonderful Father's Day. And for those of you who are missing your fathers because they are no longer here, whatever, I'm proud of you. I'm happy you are able to celebrate. Gentlemen, who are fathers, especially if you're a new dad or if you're a dad who has just walked your daughter down the aisle or is getting ready to do that. Congratulations. Happy Father's Day to all of you, every single one of you. I know Sunday's holiday is the 17th most popular in the United States, but go out, make the most of it, enjoy yourself. Okay, Agnes, you got anything left?
Well, since 1910, that's when the June 19th, 1910, that was the first declared that holiday to,
Father's Day?
yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't that popular until 70s really started. So now it's evolving even more. It's becoming even better. And so to all the dads, in different shape of form, stepdads, mothers who are in a dad's role as well, happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are enjoying this show and you'd like to send us some conversations about this, go ahead and send that to mailbag at Love, Death, and Taxes. If you are looking for some help with your tax trouble, if you have some tax trouble, especially if you are a business and you need some sort of tax resolution, this is where you go, nytaxresolutions.com. It's where you can find Agnes. And just remember, there is no judgment whatsoever. We're here. She's here to help you out. And I hope I see you guys next week. Have a great evening and a great Father's Day weekend. All right. Bye bye.
Bye.